Go ahead.
Okay.
All right, carry on. I'm just going to.
That's really cool. I'm not sure how you do that. I guess you have to be a host to do that. I don't know
Yes.
how that works.
Yeah, you're a host, and then there's a little bar on the left-hand side when you're a host, and it just you hit that, and it just says start recording. And then if you want to pause it, you can pause it, and then you can start it up again. So it's really cool. And then when you're done, this automatically saves, and it goes right to your Blab website, so you can watch it or tweet it out later. So it's really easy.
Jimmy, you're doing like a sing-song robotic voice when you're done, and it's got this little metallic twang. It's so funny. But Patricia, whenever you pop into any of the chats I've been on Twitter, I'm like, oh, thank God she's here, because she knows what they're talking about. She's got the answer. We'll all be smarter because she's there. So,
you're very kind, Natrice.
No, but that's the way I feel about you. And I never argue with you because you got it. You've got all the links. I can't argue.
I actually enjoy it when people argue with me, but they better be right. I love learning new things, and if you're going to disagree with me, I want some evidence.
See, well, I'm just going to back right off then, and I'm just going to be a retweeter because I don't have the evidence that you're looking for. But you're somebody that Jimmy and Chuck need, and I see what they see in you too.
Sometimes what you're looking for is the person who has heart, the person who has lived experience, the person who has insights. And Natrice, you offer an awful lot of those gems.
Yes. I agree 100%. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, you guys, stop it right now. That's very sweet. Very sweet. Yeah, I shoot from the hip, and I say what I think, and I go with what I've learned. And I didn't get to be 66 by doing things the easy way. I learned things the hard way sometimes. So
I think that's the only way any of us learn things.
Yeah. And I have to say that going to MedX, not to blow my horn, but somebody tweeted about me today. Dr. Stork did. And I missed his tweet because I was making supper or something. And then a couple hours later, I'm like, oh my God, he said the nicest thing about me.
Yeah.
And I don't see that stuff. I see Dennis has lots of great comments there. And this is what's wonderful about it is I like to come in and watch who's here. It's another way to connect with people here on Blab, just like I do on Twitter. I sneak around and see things in my feed, and I think, oh, that person looks interesting. And so I try to pick and choose the people I want to be connected to. And this is another way to find people who are making a difference over here, too.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Dennis.
The peanut gallery. Yeah.
Peanut gallery. Now, Patricia, I should know, but you live Michigan. You say University of Michigan or Michigan State? I missed that.
University of Michigan.
And I should know where that is.
Outside Detroit. What?
Okay. I should know where that is, and I'm blocking right off the top of my head, but it's close to Detroit. Okay.
Yeah.
And is Michigan State Lansing? Is Michigan State Lansing, Michigan?
Yes.
Okay.
The Spartans.
Yes.
Go blue.
And you have our basketball coach from West Virginia. That's where I went to school, West Virginia. And I love your basketball coach that came from West Virginia. I got to think of his name. Wonderful coach. He's there. He's been there, I think, 4 or 5 years now. I'm blocking on his
Dennis,
name now. Dennis
is tweeting.
Ann Arbor. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so see how much fun this is? There's no boredom in Twitterland or Blabland.
John Beeline. Dennis came through. It's John Beeline.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I hate to admit my ignorance of team sports because I do a lot of partnering with organizations that provide support to them. And I work with a woman who's the wife of one of the basketball coaches, and I feel like I should know stuff, but I just depend on her to know it. And then I go ask her questions.
Yes. Yeah, it's sort of like I have this device on my smartphone that, trying to remember all the different drug dosages and different names, it's just, you can't remember this stuff. So I depend on, kind of like you to your daughter, I kind of depend on this phone for a lot of that stuff. It's kind of interesting.
So are you using Hippocrates?
Hippocrates, yes. I use Hippocrates every day, multiple times throughout the day. And the other resource I use a lot of, and I have embedded in my electronic record, which I visualize on a large screen TV, I call projected EHR. And every chance I get, I try to talk about this approach because my patients love it. But I have up-to-date embedded in my electronic record, which is a wonderful educational resource. Great for patients, great for so sorry, I get animated about that. I see where Kat with Kat joined.
You go for it. You go for it.
Like we said, I'm a medical librarian. I need to know these. And we have UpToDate here, and we depend on it a lot, and it's very popular with our faculty, staff, and students. And
it's a great way to get CME. It's a great way to educate patients. It's a good way to keep current on topics. Just now, Brian's been involved, Natrice, about the PSA screening and the U.S. Task Force new recommendations about whether even to do PSAs anymore. And docs that may continue to do that may actually get penalized in some sort of way, if I understand that correctly. But he's been really vocal about not necessarily agreeing with the new recommendations. And I looked up today on PSA screening, and they've got the newest recommendations from the U.S. Task Force.
Okay, so, yes. You meant prostate-specific antigen. You didn't mean...
Yes, PSA, prostate-specific antigen. No, yes, PSA. Yes.
Service announcements, and you meant...
No. Prostate-specific antigen, yes.
The one problem with using UpToDate for patient education is that it's not something they can get to on their own later. So you can show them something, but if they don't remember it, if they can't go back and take a look. And
what I've done, and you're absolutely right, Patricia, and what I've done is I've got two ways around that. One is I've got a laser printer in every exam room, so I print up and give it to them, or right to their portal account. And I've got 850 plus patients using a portal. So I send it right through to their portal account. So I make sure that if we talk about it, we print it up and they have it for later use, because a lot of that I'm throwing at them and they can't remember anyway. So it's for later use most of the time. So
I strongly encourage people to ask their doctors to write down the words, because they don't know how to spell them. They're going to spell it weird. They're going to go away, look it up, and they're going to find weird stuff because they have the wrong spelling. So they need it written down in print. And
do you know a doctor that can do that legibly?
Yeah.
Hey, now. I can't, and I love.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Using Medline Plus and healthfinder.gov, both of which are free, open to the public, supplied by the U.S. government, underutilized, not enough awareness of them, and they have videos, they have anatomical images, and they're free and open. The patients can get to them at any time. Medline Plus has a lot of content curated and selected from major health organizations. Really, it's from the National Library of Medicine, and really critically well reviewed before it's added to their collection. So HealthFinder is primarily focused on staying healthy and keeping healthy and prevention sorts of things. And Medline Plus is, you have a new diagnosis, where do you start? That's where you start. Medline Plus will go and give you the anatomy, the diagrams, the videos, the links to patient education, and it's all really well selected.
Pat, just look at how many hand claps you've got. You see how important you are? You just started and you've got all these people applauding you.
And both Medline Plus and HealthFinder are free to folks. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Excellent to know. I haven't been using either one of those at all in my practice, so I need to do that.
And you need to know about those for your patients.
Yes.
Those are things they can get to on their own and that you can trust, and, take a look at them, dig around in them. Particularly try using the search engines in them.
Okay.
Very interesting. And Health Finder has some interesting things. I assume most doctors have some patients who are like this one friend of mine who doesn't want to ever go to the doctor, doesn't trust them, wants second bets on everything, or is saying, I don't need to go to the doctor. It'll go away. I really don't need to go to the doctor. Should I go to the doctor? You know, that sort of thing. Health
Yes.
Finder has a collection of online checkups, which are from major professional associations, and it allows them to walk through like decision trees. You know, ask a question, answer a question, and usually if there's the slightest doubt, they're going to say, go to see the doctor. But those online checkups serve as a tool for patient education. It helps them understand differential diagnosis as well. What are the other things you're looking at? So I find those, the American Academy of Family Physicians has a website called Family Doctor.
Okay.
That is just amazing for that. They've got a symptom checker that if you've got people who are likely to say, I just don't want to go to the doctor, and you go, gee, I wish you'd come in sooner. Tell them, you know, I know you don't always want to come to the doctor unless you really need to. Try taking a look at this rather than waiting quite so long. You know, let's check a little sooner.
That sounds like a great resource. And I have Colin, come on and jump on. Colin just joined us from the tweet chat. All
That's
right.
great. That's
yeah,
great.
Colin's been on several times, and it's always great to see Colin.
Hi, Colin.
Hey, how you doing, Patricia? Good to see you again.
Likewise, but I'm going to have to jump off because my battery is at 8%.
Oh, no.
Well, we'll wait until it dies. I mean, at this point, just wait till it
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah.
Colin's
Keep on, please,
give him
Patricia.
5 minutes.
4%.
Yeah, we love having you on. Stay on if you can.
It's nice to see Colin there.
Dennis,
We were just talking
link
about
in.
Oh, well, hopefully in a good way.
Yes. We were saying you were a hero.
Yeah, you were a multitasker. Remember the night that you did the chat and you did the blab at the same time? I don't know how you did that.
That was pretty nutty.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are crazy.
No, but it was fun. I mean, I'm always trying to experiment with new things, so this is definitely one of them. Chuck and Jimmy obviously introduced me to it, and other people seem to be getting on board. So I think it's kind of an interesting technology. So I don't know how yet I'm going to use it, but it's cool to be in all the sort of the ground level of it.
You see, that's what I was saying too. I don't know exactly, but it's cool.
Well, I was kind of surprised.
Very similar to Hangouts.
Yeah. I did a blab last Friday, and I really wanted to learn more about direct primary care. It's something I really haven't learned or heard a whole lot about. And I did a blab last Friday with Kat, and a couple of direct primary care docs came on. And at one point we had 60 plus live viewers. And since then, I think a total of around 650 people have visited or looked at that that blab, which is kind of surprising. Usually it's been in the 20 to 50 range. So that was kind of surprising that I could drum up those kind of numbers without even really trying. I was really kind of shocked to see those kind of numbers. So I think, Colin, in terms of, integrating this with tweet chat, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I wonder if maybe a combination of tweet chatting with a medium such as this, if you could reach more folks in a different way to push the same points you do during the tweet chat, I think may be a consideration. But, that's your call. I would never tell you what to do. But I see this medium as just a little bit different than tweet chatting, but can accentuate what one can do on a tweet chat.
If you're going to do something like that, you really need multiple moderators so that you've got one person managing one stream, one person managing another, and a third person who's sort of bridging them and running back and forth. And then you need, it's more work. You need a little more help. And you need best practices for the viewers, too. Because what I do when something like this is going on, I bring my Twitter window to the front. I pay my attention to that. I let the audio go on the other side, and I only peek at it when something really drags me over there. So that's my workflow for it.
I like that.
But there's people who want to watch the visual, and then they can't tweet because they're not on that screen, or they need a separate device.
Yeah, that's definitely what I found when I was trying to blab and tweet at the same time. You can't. It's really hard to do both.
It's a layer of complexity.
But you did it with aplomb. You just did it. What's the word? Yeah, I guess that's
well,
aplomb is correct. That's a beautiful word.
Dennis had a good comment. I mean, I think that's certainly a possibility, Dennis. I mean, you suggested, how about adding T5 over Blab? That's certainly a possibility. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. A lot of times with Jimmy and Chuck is kind of discussing the chat afterwards. We don't have an official topic to discuss, but we usually talk about the topic we just covered, and that's it kind of ends up being almost like a recap or some different analysis of the tweets that happen, because it's so hard to analyze and reflect on the tweets as they're coming through. They're just coming through so fast. So the Blab does allow for a little bit more reflection, a little bit more exploration deeper into some topics. So I think it's it's certainly something we can investigate.
This is like the guys sitting around the pickleball.
When they do the video for SPSM, what you find happening is that the tweets are reacting. The Hangout is kind of the conversation is going on independently, and then the Twitter chat is paying attention to that. And the moderator of the video portion is scanning the tweets and bringing them to the attention of the speakers. So you have one person who's the moderator, the other three would be invited speakers. And they would get posed questions like the Twitter chat questions, and people in the Twitter chat would respond to each other or to the speakers.
The speakers, right.
And people who can't manage both stay in the Twitter chat or the video. And then you still pick up what the people in the video are saying, because people will type it out. People will say, this was a really good point. And you can sort of target people who are good at that and ask them, could you live tweet some of the video, which also helps bring in, if someone's deaf, it offers a tool for accessibility that they're not completely excluded from the conversation.
And you can even do like sign language. I mean, there's so many.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down to 3%. Bye.
You did good, Pat. Bye.
Patricia, wonderful job. Nice meeting you.
Nice to see you.
For whatever reason, I wasn't following you on Twitter. I don't know why not, but I'm definitely following you now. So I didn't even realize that. So I'm definitely. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Happy Thanksgiving.
But Patricia brings up a good point, as she normally does. I think Blab, we talked about it before, Jimmy, with Chuck. Blab could be a great venue for doing conferences, for doing a virtual conference. I know you guys are trying to organize one, but sort of like have a panel on here that draws in from, I'm pointing at my other screen, but draws in from Twitter, draws in from the other social platforms, and that could be the source of the questions, as well as here. Obviously, I think this is the goal of Blab, but not a lot of people maybe watching and contributing, but definitely on Twitter. And I think that could work. I mean, you get the live tweeting aspect, you get people taking snippets of what we say on the Blab, and then kind of throwing it out there into the world that way, where it's there's a bit more of an audience, obviously, on the Twitter world. But I can definitely see it, especially when you have guests, right? When you have if HCLDR had one or two guests, it's not kind of nice to have them on the Blab. We could have a more intimate discussion. And then the discussion, generates a lot of tweets and a lot of discussion in that other medium. And you're right; it's a good idea. But Patricia had about the host drawing the questions in from that other side.
Yeah.
Is Dennis going to join in now and speak?
He said earlier that he may not, but he's more than welcome. Or if anybody else wants to join in, hop on. But the other thing I've noticed about tweet chats, and maybe it's a misconception, but it's almost like an immediate they're just in the moment. And what's interesting about Blab being able to record is that you may not have as many folks at the moment, but with the ability to record, you can watch this multiple times over and over. So it's just a little bit nuance there too in terms of the mediums. But
and it's a way for people that see it to share.
Yes,
just to be able to share it with others. I mean, that's how it works on Periscope as well. It's the retweeting and the resharing and the "Did you see this? Did you hear this?" is you just have to keep on multiplying the watchers that way.
But I realize you can storify a tweet chat and you can do things with the tweet chat. So I'm not downplaying those. Those are all important, but that's just my initial impression. And I love tweet chats. Don't get me wrong. It's just a little bit different medium aspects.
No, I agree. I think Blab and Twitter are very different. Much like Periscope and Twitter are very different. I mean, they're both social media. They're both social media platforms, but and they're both sort of immediate. But I think you're right here, Jimmy. This one's much more to me of it's much more like television almost. It's four people from around the world really having a discussion on a particular topic. It's almost like the old what's that? Meet the Press. It's almost like CNN. Some of the CNN shows, although not as bad. On ESPN, it would be like Around the Horn, where you just get a bunch of people just, talking about a particular topic.
Yeah.
I think it can become something. I think, you had obviously a very good topic around direct primary care and the direct payment model. Obviously, it's a hot topic. Seeing a Blab on that mixes both the hot topic and the hot technology. I think that's obviously very, very cool. And I think, the idea of doing a panel or something on here, I think, is really appealing. So I'm just really curious. And then, sorry to keep going on like this, but
no,
Dr. Nick last week, he brought up the idea of, what having a panel, a care panel, having a discussion with a patient on here.
Yes.
How amazing would that be? Where this is sort of an extension of telehealth.
It would be incredible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. And go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
I was just going to, I had a thought and I think it just went right out of my head when I was trying to say it. I just think it's so, it really is powerful to see the faces. It's one thing. Another thing is it advertises, I guess I wanted to say it advertises the chat you just had. And it brings in other people that are maybe on Blab, but they don't really know what Twitter is. I can't tell you how many people I meet every week who say, "What do you do on Twitter? Who's there?" I'm like, wow, my whole year has been incredible. A lot of it to do with Twitter,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and
anyway.
Melissa McCool, she hosted a Blab and had a psychologist from Sweden, and then we had Gia join us. We had Andy join us, geek, cancer geek, and John, the tech guy. So we had a lot of different folks joining on that particular Blab from all over. But to your point, Natrice, was that it was just a great way to meet different folks and exchange ideas. And now I'm having your problem. I'm losing my point.
I was also going to say that sometimes when you're reading things on a text on Twitter, you find something offensive that maybe wasn't meant to be offensive.
Yes.
And when you come and do it here, you see the person and you hear their voice and you hear what they're talking about and you think, oh, she wasn't so bad after all, Yeah. I see where they're coming from now. So I think there's something to be added from and
that was
mediums.
That was Per from Sweden. He's the psychologist, and Dennis just reminded me that. Thank you, Dennis. Mm-hmm. But the thing I was going to say was that we had people popping in and out who weren't necessarily even in the healthcare field who came on and joined during that Blab and gave perspectives about their experience with vulnerability patients. It was really, so that was, so like you were saying, Colin, I think that you can get people from different mediums and meet one another to look at maybe similarities that these different mediums, they may not connect, but if they connect maybe on Twitter, Periscope, Blab, and they may have commonalities that they otherwise may not realize until they meet each other on one type of a medium or another. So that's what I experienced during that Blab.
I mean, I think for me, I mean, I have the good fortune of being able to travel to a lot. I go to a lot of conferences. I go to a lot of industry events. So I get the chance to meet, Tech Guy, Cancer Geek. I mean, I get to meet all of these folks through my work, which is amazing, right? I'm so happy, so thankful that I'm able to do that. But for other folks who don't get to go to a lot of these places, I mean, this is sort of the next best thing where you get to meet and you get to meet Andy in person. You get to see Chuck and what he's really like, and Patricia. And you're right, Latrice. I mean, when you meet someone in person and you can see the facial expressions, you can see how they talk. The texts that you see on Twitter or even via email take on a whole new meaning because you can hear their person's voice. You can imagine what they're looking like, and it does bring it a lot more personal. Like I've never met Gia, but she and I, we did a Google Hangout one time, and I got a chance to see her in person, and it's sort of like, wow, it really changed it for me, meeting her and seeing her online in a Google Hangout.
Annette and I, we were watching their little, Pat Rich went to their thing in the Philippines.
Yes.
We had that conference, February, January, something like that. Oh my God, I was thrilled to hear Gia's voice. And Blab wasn't even out there yet then. But to see everybody from the Health XPH group was like, wow, they're real. They're walking around and talking, and it was just amazing.
Well, when you were at MedX, Latrice, and introduced me to several people, including Brian Stork and several other people there, it really, here I'm in landlocked Montana. I don't get out much. I don't fly much. Don't go anywhere much. But I felt like I was really there. So that was really cool. And then Health XPH, they had a conference, I think at about the same time, and they were periscoping from that conference, and they had all 5 of the main docs sitting at a table. I don't know if you saw that. But again, it felt like I was right there. So that's, Colin, what you're saying. It is the next best thing to being there. And I just don't have the ability to do that just with my practice. I just can't get away very often. So this is maybe why I've gravitated somewhat to this medium.
See, I was told that I was wasting my time. I was wasting my time on social media. I needed to get off my phone and my laptop and find real people in my community. That it was just pointless. And for those of you that know what I've been doing in the last few months, and I just wow, just blows my mind to meet so many people, to go places, to get a chance to talk about what matters to me, to hear what other people have that matters to them. Wow.
Yeah, that's powerful.
And of course, and I admire Colin because he's very quiet and shy, but once he gets going, man, he's rocking a dude too.
Quiet and
Jimmy,
shy.
Yeah. Well, I first met you in January. We were all standing with our jackets,
Oh, that's
our
right.
walking gallery jackets. You were very quiet then. And and Jimmy and Chuck just blew me away because every time I turned around, they were periscoping from somewhere, and I'm like, oh, come on, guys, give me a break. But you had to go and check it out because you had to know if they got snow or if they saw deer or they were doing something in the big city. And you wanted to look at the world through their eyes. And I spent a lot of my years living in isolated northern communities like Churchill, Manitoba, and Moosonee, landlocked, no road. My God, I used to listen to a transistor radio from 600 miles away and go to sleep listening to it because that was my connection. And look at me now. I'm in my bedroom with my phone talking to people from other sides of the world. And it's incredible.
It is.
So.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, people ask me. We even got asked tonight. What's the difference between Blab and Google Hangouts? Because they both do the kind of the same thing, right? Like Google Hangouts got lots of people, and when you talk, the person's image appears. First of all, I think Google Hangouts serves a very different purpose. There, I think it's much more of a. There's no limit, right? You can have you'd have 90 people on, and then who's speaking just sort of appears. This one I think is a little bit more intimate, if that can be said, than Google
Yes.
Hangouts, because I think it's only 4 people at a time. You kind of have to take a seat. So it's much more like a panel discussion, that I keep calling it that, versus Google Hangouts, where it's much more of a conference call in my mind. Where everybody could be talking and so much is happening at one time. It seems much more formal too in Google Hangouts. So,
well, for me and Timmins, this is an awesome experience. So, I can't say enough about it. So
and Great Falls, Montana, same thing, Natrice. Great Falls, Montana. It's great to be able to get out of my little capsule here once in a while.
I'd be interested to hear. I wasn't on when John was on, but I'd be interested in what John would say, or Mandy, or someone like that, who also goes to a lot of conferences, right? And Dr. Nick found it very interesting too, and he goes to a ton of conferences. Because again, I think it's for me, it's a little different because I do get to meet. I've met a lot of you, Jimmy. I've never met you in person, but now I've gotten to see you on Blab. I feel like I know you more. But
yeah,
I think I get that feeling every time I go to a conference where I get to meet people in person. We sit down and have that chat. Here on Blab, I can only imagine it must be that same kind of feeling for those that just don't have that opportunity to go like 10 times a year to these conferences that we all go to. So, I like it because I get to meet people who don't go to them, right? Like yourself, Jimmy. Like I only see Chuck once in a while at HIMSS. Natrice is only when you come down to Toronto and I do the tweet ups and things. And fortunately, I got a chance to meet you at MedX this year.
But, that was great. That was great.
But
we
anyway,
had a lot of Canadians.
We did have a lot of Canadians. But so I'm curious. I'm kind of, I'm into it now. I'm starting to use it a bit more. I kind of try to catch on the blabs that you guys do during the day. It's hard for me, but I'm fascinated by it. I'm kind of just curious to see where this is going to go. Like, is this really going to take off?
I was surprised last Friday. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but Chuck tweeted out that we were actually number one in terms of blab activity that Friday. We were the number one blab in terms of most viewers being viewed on blab about a health topic, which was kind of interesting. I never would have I thought I'd have my usual 20 to 50, which I'm very happy about, but it was a bit surprising.
You're the Christopher Columbus of blab.
There you go.
And the other thing tonight, and this is one of the problems I have with tweetchat, is I was kind of ribbing Bernadette tonight about putting you three on after an CLDR tweetchat and roasting you on a blab, and I hope she realized I was teasing. But sometimes it's hard when you tease to convey, and I don't. I hope I haven't had a chance to look back at all the tweets and everything, but if you could convey that to her, I was just giving her a rough time and ribbing, and I don't want to ever put her in a position where she wouldn't feel comfortable, wouldn't want to do. So it was just a matter of teasing. So that was all I was.
To me, it's a preference of medium, right? I mean, obviously there are a lot of people who are very comfortable with one or another medium, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or in our case, Twitter. But there's so many of these new ones, and I'm not an Instagram fan. I don't Pinterest, but I understand that I can understand the draw, right? I'm just not.
Yeah.
And I think people just go. I have a visceral reaction when people tell me about G+. I'm just like, I'm a Google fan, but I'm like, I don't really like G+. I don't like Quora.
Yeah.
Can't explain it. I don't know why, but I have this irrationality when people say Quora. I'm like, ugh, don't bother me with that one, right?
Yeah,
I guess some people have different reactions to these ones. I mean, it is so new,
but that proves the point for using blab, because through each medium, there are certain people that you'll reach there that you won't reach other ways.
Yeah, or connect with, right? I mean, I'm more connected to some people on blab, or maybe will be, than I am on Twitter. Likewise, in person, there's a bunch of in-person people that I know that will never touch this stuff, right? But you're right, Natrice. I mean, it's a different audience right now, I think, on Blab. And I've heard it from Jimmy, I've heard it from other people too, that they get the feeling they're getting from Blab is like the feeling they got when Twitter was in its early days. And
someone told me that things like Blab and Periscope gave them the creepy feeling, like that's like a voyeur, letting somebody into your home and showing them too much. Well, you know what? Every phone has a camera, and YouTube has lots of videos out there. So this is nothing like that. This is for a purpose, It doesn't creep me out. It did at the first when I saw Ellen display Periscope. I'm like, not so sure about that. But once I tried it, I was hooked.
I'm not that much into Periscope compared to certainly compared to Chuck is, but
Yeah.
I mean, but there is that sort of curiosity to see what the world is like through someone else's eyes. I gotta say, I'm much more of a fan of Blab because of this interaction and this ability to interact in a visual and verbal way, as opposed to having to type all this out in 140 characters. It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable.
I also wanted to say too that I think that as a world, we need to draw together, and the things that are happening in the world right now are really scary. And I think the more we pull together, those of us who have similar interests, it's important. I think it's really important to do that because.
Well, I agree, Natrice. I was just doing a spontaneous sunrise Periscope the other day, and a gal joined, and I forget exactly. I think it was Southern Indiana where she was joining from, and it was just a day or two after the Paris deal, and she had family over there. And she started talking about it, and it was, and I wanted to just put it out of my mind, but it was a way to, when she started talking about it, we just actually talked about it, and that was helpful, I think, for both of us. And with that being said, the difference between Periscope and Blab, I think, Colin, I'm with you. I kind of like Blab a little bit more maybe than Periscope. And one of the things I like about Blab is that you can maybe come up with an idea, like with the direct primary care, and then I could tweet out 2 or 3 times a day, several days in advance about it to try to drum up more people to watch. So you can't really do that with Periscope, and that's what's another really cool feature about Blab too, is that you can really advertise it much more than you can on Periscope.
Yeah, that's a really great thing to do, because then you can schedule it into your day planner or whatever, and that's
and then it can be
you've
spontaneous.
got 3 or 4 voices. Yeah.
And like tonight was a spontaneous Blab. Chuck and I weren't even going to do it because his wife's was going to be there, and we weren't even going to do one. And then we got Patricia tweeting, and she was interested, so we just actually both spontaneously started a Blab.
I can't believe you got Patricia on. I actually thought she wasn't going to show, and I think she kind of liked it by the end.
Yeah, I think she'd be a great resource. I bet she'd be great at this. She's
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's huge. She's got a lot of stuff at her fingertips, and she's a very smart gal.
Yeah, she is. And I think, who I think will take to this medium very quickly, once they discover it, if you will, is the podcasters. I think the people like Get Social Health, like Jared Piano, who does a lot of healthcare IT marketing type ones. But this is very much like a podcast, right? I mean, you're interviewing somebody. You now add in the video element to it. You can have up to 4 people on the discussion. You record it. To me, it just is sort of a natural extension of podcasting. Now, unfortunately, you have to be in front of a computer to view it, or on your handheld, as opposed to a podcast where you can just listen to it. But
I think that's awesome. You're giving more people a chance to have open mic.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the one thing about a podcast is you can't do open mic, right? It's a recording between 2 people. Google Hangouts doesn't record very well because you get so many people on, and if you make it open, it just goes crazy. This is a lot more controlled, and obviously with Jimmy's success, you can see when you have the right topic, it can really result in some good viewership. Yeah,
and when people get bored at night, they can come and find the podcast and watch us discuss it.
There you go.
Anyway, you guys, it was a blast.
Yeah. And thank you, Natrice, and thank you, Colin, for joining, and everybody else on the right-hand screen. So thank you, guys. I do appreciate it. And thanks for the tweet chat, Colin. That was wonderful. That was a lot of fun tonight.
Oh, thank you. It's sort of becoming a Thanksgiving tradition where we kind of reflect and talk about it. So thankful for the HDLDR community and you guys.
And grateful for all what you do, and you as well, Natrice. You guys are wonderful.
Thanks. I don't show up all the time, but I know you're out there, so I really appreciate you all being out there.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving, Jimmy.
You too. Thank you.